Week 13's in the books. Hope everybody had a happy Thanksgiving. Let's take a look back at the week that was before diving into crunch time in the NFL season, Week 14 and beyond. We'll start with the Niners on Sunday Night Football. Joey's back after a brief hiatus. We had a scheduling conflict last week, but the crew is back together. Unfortunately, we got to start with probably the end of the Niners era, another just absolutely crushing loss, back-to-back losses where you gave up 35 plus and only scored 10. I mean, just brutal. CMC blows out his PCL. He's out for the year. Mason's out for the year. Trent Williams, obviously the horrible news today that came out. It's just like this is an all-time season from hell at this point. And sorry, buddy. It's just there's nothing like it.
Yeah, no, it's over. I'm not going to go say like their whole, championship windows like close. Just because I think they have an opportunity to probably do not a minor retool, but like a big retool, like between retool and rebuild, whatever that word is, re-something. I think they're still too talented to at least not have like one more, maybe not like championship run, but like have a better showing than this year. But we'll see because they have some major questions everywhere. And I don't think any of that will hit Kyle Shanahan or John Lynch. In my opinion, it shouldn't. What they've done over the last, 6-7 years, they can't predict some of this stuff. Although I will put some of the blame on just roster management a little bit. It's part of the reason why they are where they are is so many guys have so much money and they're thinner in other areas. But the amount of injuries and it's just, who would have thought like two of your, which it doesn't even matter if they're good players or not, two like babies or like young kids pass away like mid-season.
Insane.
You can't even what are we doing? I'm still like referred as a new parent, but I couldn't even imagine functioning like doing anything, let alone being in primetime television, like trying to do a high level physical activity. I couldn't even imagine. And so honestly, yesterday the Super Bowl hurt yesterday more than it probably did at any point since they lost to. Because it's just like how hard it is to get back there.
Yeah.
Like you're in overtime of the Super Bowl, and it's like, oh, next year, like there's no next year. Like it's incredibly hard. You need a lot of good players, a lot of luck, and they're running out of good players and luck. So
the absolute season from hell, I think I would probably say the worst for any team that you've been a fan of ever. You look at, wide receiver 1 blows out his leg after getting a new contract. Wide receiver, 4 was shot. 2 of your best players, Williams and Ward, have both had a child pass away during the season. All sorts of guys have missed multiple games. CMC's out for the year, ends up only playing 4 games, may never be himself again after Achilles and now knee injuries. Purdy missed a game and has a shoulder issue. You're just looking across the board. Apparently, and they just said now Fred Warner's been playing the whole season with a broken ankle.
I actually think he broke his ankle on his pick 6.
Back in what was that, week 4?
Against the Patriots.
Yeah. Insane. It's one of the all-time across any sport season.
I was just trying to think about it. It's probably with relative to expectations, probably. As we all seen with the Sharks last 5 years, they've been horrible, but it's like what the expectations weren't there. But to have the expectations of this was it. This was like Chicago Bulls last dance, and it's been a last break dance, and the whole thing is broken. Everything. Yeah. And I don't know.
There's got to be hard conversations. Do you think there will be any changes whatsoever at the top of the food chain? Obviously, Lynch, Shanahan, and Purdy all, everything's fine next year.
If you catch me on the wrong day, I might think I just won't. Philosophy-wise, maybe they don't. That's one thing I thought of. Brock Purdy is eligible for an extension. He does not have to have one. A lot of teams don't operate that way, but
there is no 5th-year option for him, correct? Because he's a 7th rounder.
Yeah. But he's still got. So he's drafted 22. So he's got 22, 20. So it's just 4. I saw something today. He's still signed for next year.
Yeah.
He's eligible to extend beyond that after this year.
Mhm.
But I wonder if the Niners just say, we'll wait again.
Franchise tag, yeah.
And because, I mean, they pay him whatever amount of money. I mean, people got to go. They're really, really thin defensive line. Who knows? Drake Greenlaw's a free agent. Do they even sign him? Because if he probably doesn't play at all this year, what's the point of coming back?
Mm-hmm.
Do they get him on a cheap deal because he has to prove himself, to be healthy and good? Maybe.
Debo and Kittle probably gone after this year, you'd imagine?
I would think probably the guy most gone, and I'd have to really look at the numbers, would be Deebo Samuel, because he looks, I mean, I don't know where he's been.
There's been a lot of TikToks recently that say, it's like, hey, my mom said, have you washed the dishes? And then it shows the dishes and it's a picture of Deebo Samuel. I'm like, oh my God. Like,
well, then I'd say Kittle, because given age and like position, but he's been the best one other than him, again, injured and like missing. It's hard for him to play 17 games.
Mm-hmm.
Been really good. He's honestly had, been
Kittle and Warner have been great. It's been,
yeah.
I mean, Trent Williams,
but
really.
Just like, Phil, I think they should keep everyone. I mean, I don't think there should be any big changes. I just, again, fine. I think Kyle has his flaws, sure, like every coach does. What's your alternative? Because the chance of you hiring a better coach is 0. Because they're the 2 or 3 you could maybe argue employed.
Yeah,
so
they're not going anywhere.
Like, I mean, the much higher risk or much higher chance of hiring Jim Tom Sula.
It sounds like, exactly. It sounds like you're basically like, hey, this was the season from hell, but we still trust this group, so let's.
I would say the one thing I do think I would like to see change is they need philosophical changes to how they acquire and pay offensive linemen. Because just in general, his whole philosophy since he's been here is, other than Trent Williams, which again, they paid him, but they only, I think they got him for a 3 and a 5.
Mm-hmm.
Like the last couple drafts, I've been like, we need a right tackle. We need like block somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And they just don't spend the draft capital. They don't keep anyone in free agency. Like, for the love of God, why are we still rolling out like Jake Brendel and Colton McKivitz? I mean, they can't. Against the really good teams, it doesn't happen. And the defensive line, they got to get back to that. I know Hargrave's missing, but
that was the bread and butter of the franchise for
their defensive tackles specifically are, number 1, small, and 2, just, I mean,
nowhere near the caliber that you're used to.
Nowhere near like the Forrest Buckner.
Of course. Crushing loss in the snow. I mean, other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the play? Really tough way for the Niners season to kind of go down the tube.
I mean, at this point, I think they might end up with like, there's a chance they finish over.
Yeah, if they don't win this one against the Bears, I mean, that's by far the easiest one on their schedule. Home against the
Rams,
Bears,
Miami, Detroit, Arizona. And if they're not healthy, they're not winning any of those games.
You could also say if they get healthy, they could win.
What's the aggregate score last 2 weeks? Like 80-20?
76-20. Ow.
I mean, you're not looking at like playoffs or wild. You're looking at Travis Hunter. That's what you're looking at.
You're looking at. I mean, it's to me, in my opinion, it's either going to be 9-8 or it's going to be like 6-11. Like, there's no. You're not going to finish 8-9 or 7-10. You're either going to beat the Bears this week and get a little momentum, maybe beat the Rams, maybe beat the Cardinals, or you're going to lose this week and then lose every game from then on out. So tough spot. At least you got an easy game next week to hopefully get the ship righted. Against an interim coach and probably one of the most dysfunctional situations we've seen in recent years, which, oh boy, will we get to later. Let's do a quick Vikings recap before we get to the rest of week 13 and then preview of next week. Another game where the Vikes didn't have the fastball and just found a way. It's feeling a lot more similar to the 2022 Vikings now. We're now 7-1 in one-score games. We were down 13 in this one. First time in Sam Darnold's career he's been down 13-1. He was 0-18 to this point. And then this time, a 14-point fourth quarter comeback with a couple touchdowns, one to Munt and then one to Aaron Jones to win the game. My vote for, if I had one, for coordinator of the year, assistant coach of the year, would go to Brian Flores. I cannot believe what he's doing. The fact that he only gave up 22 points in a situation where the other team could just pass on us all day long. We lost Stephon Gilmore early in the game, and we put in Fabian Moreau, who I believe got torched on like 4 straight plays in the third quarter as I was watching. I was in the airport yesterday watching. I was like, who is 23 and why on earth is he on the field? And I was like, well, Gilmore's hurt, and this guy is getting torched. Kyler Murray lit it up. We basically had no business winning that game after Gilmore got hurt, and it was clear that we couldn't cover anybody. But Flores found a way. We got a stop on 3 straight possessions there in the fourth quarter, including a pick to seal the game. So really impressive to see us to get to 10-2. I mean, the only negative thing I have to say is Aaron Jones is officially in the doghouse. He's fumbled 5 times in 3 games. I think Cam Akers is going to get a lot more of the ball now, but the fans are still behind Aaron Jones. You could see Kevin O'Connell, who's normally very reserved, on the sideline being like, look, man, I don't care if you're Adrian Peterson. I don't care if you're Jim Brown. If you fumble 5 times in 3 games, I can't keep giving you the ball. But he trusted him for that.
I didn't realize it was that much.
Yeah, and he said,
I've seen interviews too. I heard he's a really fantastic guy,
incredible guy. He just and he's like, he said last week after the Bears game, he goes, in this league, if you lose the football, you don't get to keep your job. So I'm thankful that Coach O'Connell still had faith in me. And then he responded
2 more times.
Yeah, and then he fumbled twice in the first quarter, and I was like, man. But I mean, really, we're just splitting hairs here. We're 10-2. I can't believe we're only a game away out of the NFC North, out of the best record in the entire NFL. The Vikes just keep rolling, Joey. What's it look like to you as an impartial observer?
Yeah, it's I mean, 10-2. What's there to complain about? Yeah, I thought because this was the game I had in the morning on Fox, but I was rooting for Minnesota to beat Arizona. Why? I don't know. No point of that. And yeah, impressive holding them to field goals, and then they get down, and then I don't know if you got to see it. You were traveling. Did you see any of the game or live, or were you flying?
I was able to get it on the plane and in the airport,
really?
So I saw almost all of it. I missed like maybe 15 minutes.
Did you hear the point at the end of the game? I thought, and this again, Fox. I think Brady's getting better. Their Burkhardt's great, but I love Joe Davis and Greg Olsen.
They're the best. The best.
And Greg Olsen did a fantastic job talking about why Arizona should have went for it on 4th down.
It was, what was it, 4th and 4? Yeah.
And he does it so it's brilliant. I don't know why, because they kicked the field goal. Like, if you're Minnesota, you're like, thank God, now it's just touchdown ball game. Like, again, you got to still stop them. I thought Arizona had plenty of time to do, but Minnesota, stood firm the last drive. But if you go for it and get the touchdown, checkmate.
Yeah.
If you go for it and miss, the other team gets the ball at their own 3 or 4, whatever it was, 5, whatever it was.
Needs to go 95 yards.
But the most critical part of the whole decision-making process, why it matters, is because if you don't get it, the team plays and coaches calls plays to tie the game.
Right.
Like that play,
they will have
didn't
a 3-point
they hit something
lead
on 4th down to Jefferson or Addison?
Yeah, it was Jefferson.
In that scenario, if they went for it and missed, Arizona did, Minnesota would have kicked the field goal to tie, and you could have, you still would have got the ball and could have got kicked in. I'm like, it's brilliant. But everyone's like, no, just take the points, force them to have to go home. But it would have tied. He would have it's brilliant.
And then Tyler would have had more time to engineer a drive at the end of the game. Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know.
We got away with one there. There's no doubt about it.
But I'm not even saying that because it's Arizona or that game. You see it everywhere around the league. I feel like 4th and it's 4th and goal from the 4. You're up 3. Just kick it. Go up 6. Force
basically everybody, but I would say Dan Campbell and John Harbaugh. seems to be
Yeah, Dan
conservative
Campbell
in
goes
that.
for it anywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, the way he described it too is like, yeah, because the biggest point is like knowing you have to get a touchdown. Like you're like, well, we got to get a touchdown. Like we got to go.
Yeah, you get 4 downs every single time. Yeah.
If you only need 3, you're like, okay, maybe a run, a screen, like this,
Mm-hmm.
and then all of a sudden you're calling plays to kick a 48-yard tying field goal.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy. He made such a good point. There's a reason he used to be Fox's number 1 and should be Fox's number 1. I thought he did a great job on that game, and he basically was describing throughout the entire game how that Cardinal defense was essentially like limiting Justin Jefferson, and then by the end, of course, he got to his 99 yards and changed the game there in the fourth quarter. But it was basically the same game plan that Chicago had employed to take Jefferson out of the game, except that this Arizona defense is a little more undermanned than the Chicago defense is. But a quality win, one that really got the fans energized after just an incredibly lackluster first half where we only had 99 yards and 3 points. So good on Sam Darnold for leading a 14-point comeback.
I thought Sam Darnold made a couple throws. You're like, looks pretty good.
Yeah. Each week I continue to be more and more impressed. He's going to be someone's starter next year. He's going to get a multi-year deal, kind of like Baker Mayfield did recently. So good on Sam. Couple marquee games from week 13 we got to go over. Obviously, the Bears debacle on Thanksgiving. We'll talk about that more a little bit later. That got Eberflus fired. The Packers, that game against Miami, they just crushed them. It was one of those where it was clear from the first play of the game that they were prepared and Miami wasn't. It's just Miami doesn't play well in the cold. I want to talk about the Steelers game. I hate to say this, but I think Danger Russ is back. 440 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Can you win comeback player from just being ass?
The people were talking about that.
He should get it.
On all the pods today, they were like, what is the criteria? Does it say in the award that you have to be injured?
Would you want to win the award acknowledging that you only won it because you were dog shit before?
And if that was a criteria, he would win it. But I think it has to be hardship or injury. But I mean, what a performance by him, by that Steeler defense. With the
I think they're a legitimate Super Bowl contender.
If Wilson plays like he did in that game, which by the way, Cincinnati's defense is just a joke.
I don't care. He threw for 400.
With a Mike Tomlin, Arthur Smith offense, really impressive to throw for 400 plus.
Good for him. Good for him. Good for Evan. It's been a good week in Evan's world.
Yeah, everybody's turning around. Seahawks, Russ, everybody. The Eagles-Ravens game is the talk of the NFL. Just a manhandling by the Eagles. After, I would say when it was 9-0, maybe midway through the second quarter, I was like, okay, this is a classic John Harbaugh game. Mike Tomlin style, just grind it out. And then boom, the Eagles just turned it on. Saquon turned it on, had an unbelievable fourth quarter. Hurts, as much as we dog him, I don't think he's that good of a passer. He is as freaking tough as nails. That push play where he fumbled, picked it up, and extended over the goal line. The Eagles are there for real, man. We can't deny it anymore.
Really good. They're really good. Where Joey was wrong. But no, I think the Bears, they say all that, but make some kicks.
Winston Tucker,
if
man.
He makes the kicks. Don't they win?
Yeah. They said that's the third game this year.
The manhandling by Philly, you heard that everyone Justin Tucker makes some freaking kicks. And it's a problem. That's the third game this year where if he makes all of the kicks they send him out for, they win the game, but he missed them and they lost. And it's at what point is the greatest ever at his position in danger of being cut or benched or whatever? Can they cut him? Didn't he have a huge money for a kicker?
I'm sure, but maybe they could put him on IR and say he's got an injury.
I think they just put him just have 2 kickers.
Yeah, healthy scratch.
Yeah.
They're on a bye this week, so they got a week to figure it out. But maybe it's one of those. If he comes out and misses 2 more,
how do you work on that? You just kick him because you cannot simulate.
Because every kick he ever kicked in his life was like a golf shot with a slight draw that would go right into the middle. And now all of them, they're moving right, they're moving left. It's clear he's completely screwed up. So it's what does Baltimore do at this point? Also, Lamar was awful in that game. Like, I watched the entirety of the game, and it was just he would drop back. First of all, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's how the offense is designed, but he steps back further than any quarterback in the league.
I was watching it during work today. NFL Live Orlovsky did a great breakdown. He's like, I love how, again, I think Lamar's a really good player, but he might be a 3-time MVP winner after this year. So, like, the standards are high, and Orlovsky broke it down. He's like, this is just embarrassing. Like, from a guy who should, like you were saying, he dropped back once. He took the sack 15 yards behind the line of scrimmage and then forced a longer kick. Still, Justin, you got to make the kick.
Yeah.
But, like, again, why are we 15 yards behind the line of scrimmage, Lamar?
It was like 3rd and 10 at the 22. He gets sacked for a 15-yard loss, turns it into a 54-yard field goal.
Yeah, and there was one, likely is open, I mean, completely wide, like no one covered him. And Lamar missed it by 6-7 yards over his head. And then there's one where he throws it like on an out route to Zay Flowers, easy first down. It throws in the dirt. And then they show the replay. He's like, oh, that was tipped in the line. Like, no, it wasn't. You just throw it in the dirt. And, like, that's the stuff I'm like, again, it's not a playoff game, a big game. The main CBS game, Philly, really good team. It's like,
show us. And it just doesn't happen in those moments for him. Whatever. It's like 26 touchdowns, 3 picks with a ton of rushing yards and rushing touchdowns.
Hold on. So that just hit me. Is that like his second loss?
He's now 28-2 against the NFC. Yeah, his second ever loss. And do you know who his first ever loss was in the NFC? I saw this stat last week. His only loss.
Just because it's being asked by you, is it Minnesota?
It's the new Minnesota Vikings backup quarterback Daniel Jones beat him back in 2020. Really unbelievable.
Vanilla Vic.
Of all the people to do it, it was him. Broncos game just ended, by the way. We usually record the pod right after Monday Night Football, but that game went till 8:45, so it was super late one. Broncos won 41-32 in a game that was fantastic. Nobody expected anything. Jerry Jeudy went for 9 and 235. Yeah.
He threw for 497 and 4 touchdowns, but he throws 2 picks. That's Jameis I love it.
The most Jameis game ever.
I really do.
He brings entertainment.
Like not even like a player. He's a lot better than what people give him. Which again,
he's a coach's nightmare. Though
coaches would, I was just saying, coaches would say like, I don't care if you throw for 900 yards. You're throwing pick sixes everywhere.
Yeah,
like we're in the negative.
Vintage. 497 and 4 touchdowns, including Jerry Jeudy's first game back in Denver, 9 for 235 and a touchdown, and like 9 taunts. Every time he touched the ball, he taunted someone on the Broncos, someone on the sideline. Yeah.
Somewhere.
Oh, man. Week 14 preview. Let's get into it real quick. Obviously, the Niners get a soft spot here. They get the Bears here. Interim head coach playing their second game on the road. The Niners get to come back home. It's a good spot. It's just who the hell's going to be playing in the game. Also, a lot of people like to point at interim head coach theory, like with the Saints earlier this year, where you get a bump because they hated the coach so much they just want to win for whoever the interim guy is. So you got to ward off against that a little bit. But Niners favored by 3.5, 4 in this game. What do you think?
I don't feel good about it. I mean,
it'll be Garendo leading the backfield.
I mean, that's the other thing. It's like, oh, CMC. Oh, then, yeah, by the way, Jordan Mason, he's toast too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my God.
Elijah Mitchell. Remember that guy? He's out for the season. You're on your 4th string running back. It's really unbelievable.
Yeah.
And Garendo's actually looked pretty good, but, you know.
Garendo is a high-level athlete. Like, his 40 time everything, he's just not a very good instinctual running back.
Mm-hmm.
Because when he hits the hole, hey, he's gone. But
lots of other problems.
No, I mean, but this game particularly, I don't know. I mean, honestly, since we're talking, I Googled the draft order. And I'm like, we have a shot at like maybe like top 8.
And yet, if you win this one and then beat the Rams, you'll be like, okay, division's still there.
No,
you can sneak in.
No,
all right, he's 100% out.
No, it's not. I mean, what are we, 2 games behind Seattle?
2 games behind Seattle, but
And
you
we
split the
lose
season series.
We lose every tiebreaker because now we split with Seattle, and we're like 1-4 in the division.
You essentially have to win out to
1-3.
Yeah. You need to win out and then need Seattle to lose a couple. Like it's not a good situation. Vikings, I mean, this is a game that everyone had circled before the season. It's lost a ton of luster in that, yes, both of these teams are the Falcons are in first place technically, and the Vikings are 10-2. So you would think, oh, this is a marquee matchup. Kirk Cousins returns to Minnesota. He may not even start the game. He's been awful the last 3 weeks. He just threw 4 picks last week.
I had this game too. Some of them, I think at least 2, if not 3 out of the 4 were just like, what was that?
The pick 6. They said next gen.
The lollipop into the end zone.
Oh my God. Next gen stats said he threw that ball 36 miles per hour, which is that's like an underhand toss. Like, my God.
I don't know if you've seen it, but have you seen the graphic that I saw floating like on TV today? Like his numbers this year. Because when I watched him a couple times, I'm like, Kirk, like, all right.
Yeah.
He looks really good. Well, they must have been both against Tampa because his numbers against Tampa, he's like 8 touchdowns, no picks, like 900 yards.
Yeah.
Every other team, he's like 2 touchdowns. Like I didn't realize he leads the league in picks.
Yeah.
Every other team, he's awful.
Yeah. He's figured out the Todd Bowles defense, but not anybody else. And that's what makes this game lackluster. Like, Vikings now favored by 5.
It's in Atlanta?
It's in Minnesota. So it is Kirk's return to Minnesota, but obviously it's been completely soured. There's talk of, Penix starting this week and Kirk losing his job. I think a lot of people are saying he's clearly not healthy because he's not getting any zip behind the ball. Clearly
looks like he had zip against Tampa.
Yeah, for whatever reason he did. But in this one, obviously, it's if Cousins starts, it's a nightmare scenario for him. Like, the one thing the Vikes will do is rush the shit out of you and hit the shit out of you as a quarterback, and he can't protect himself because he's clearly still not recovered fully from the Achilles injury. I love the Vikings in this spot, given that Kirk can't move and we got an amazing pass rush, and Brian Flores knows exactly how to beat a Kirk Cousins-led team. So this is a good spot. I think Atlanta is severely wounded coming off of 3 straight losses. They basically had the division in the bag. They were 6-3, had a 2-game lead plus the double tiebreaker over Tampa, and you're like, oh, that one's done and dusted. Well, they've lost 3 in a row. Tampa's won 2 in a row, and it's looking like Penix time here pretty soon. So that game's really changed.
That's crazy.
Marquee game of the week, maybe marquee game of the year, Green Bay at Detroit on Thursday Night Football. Great game. Obviously, I'm going to be pulling for Green Bay. Vikings can get another shot at the division if somebody can beat Detroit. Obviously, Buffalo going into Detroit next week as well, or the following week. So 2 games here where the Vikes play Atlanta, and then they play Chicago, while Detroit has to play Green Bay and Buffalo. So it's like, if we're ever going to get this thing close, now is the time.
So if the Niners were good, they would finish like Green Bay, Buffalo, like Minnesota, Niners, Minnesota.
Well, the game that you said.
Am I correct? No, you already played Detroit once. No, it's not.
Yeah, we go to Detroit week 18. I think their week 16 game is against like Indianapolis or something.
Okay,
Someone
so
terrible.
like 4 or 5, like it would have been brutal, but the Niners.
But four of their final 5 are against teams that, I mean, the Niners.
At least for them, the Buffalo one is in the dome.
Right. And the Niner one that is in San Francisco looked so much more terrifying 6 weeks ago.
I might get flexed. Can they flex Monday night?
They can now, although apparently they can't flex this week because of some contractual obligation to the Simpsons, which we'll get more into that later. Pretty crazy situation there. Obviously, that's the biggest game of the week, and it's crazy to have by far the biggest game of the week and one of the biggest of the year on a random Thursday night, the week after Thanksgiving. So that'll be a really good one there. I'm thinking it's a tough spot for Jordan Love, but I'll be one of the rare times in my life I say go Pack go. Seattle at Arizona, another game for first place in the division, second time they've played in 3 weeks. As an NFC West guy, Arizona's favored by 3 there. Do you think that's fair at home?
Yeah.
I think
they're a lot better at home than on the road.
Mm-hmm.
I They flashed that graphic a few times. No, during the Minnesota game Sunday. Yeah, probably. When I was watching the end of the Arizona Minnesota game, they would I really wasn't even having to look at the score. I was like, oh, Seattle, the Jets. They're like, oh, the Seattle's only down. They're driving against the Jets. I'm like, oh my God, that's a game.
Mm-hmm.
I was just expecting Seattle to hammer them. And then I realized Jets were up 21-7 one point.
They were up 21-7 with the ball at the Seahawks 8, and then Rodgers threw the pick 6, and it all fell apart.
Oh, I'm like, if Minnesota wins and then the Jets, I'm like, we could just somehow pull it. Well, of course, that was just an absolute pipe dream, but I don't know. Probably. I kind of expect Seattle to win.
Me too. I mean, I'm going to have them in the picks later. I think JSN has emerged as like a true number 2 with DK Metcalf, maybe even a 1A, 1B situation there. And McDonald, I mean, we picked him before the season for coach of the year, and I think it's a possibility if they maybe not run the table. If they go 10-7 and win the division after, what was essentially going to be a rebuild year, that'd be really impressive. So good on them. And then Sunday Night Football, Chargers at KC. I think the Chiefs are who we thought they were. They should have lost that game. They should have lost the week before. They should have lost the Broncos game. At some point, this is going to catch up to them, and if anybody's going to do it, it's going to be a Harbaugh coach team in prime time. I like the Chargers in that spot.
But they haven't lost. I mean, it's like it gets to the point.
What deal did they make with the devil, dude?
I don't know. Ask Travis. He's all over the TV still, so maybe he knows. But yeah, no, they honestly, I mean, they at least need to win because Buffalo keeps winning.
Mm-hmm.
So, but no, I refuse to pick against the Chiefs, even though the eye test says they're like
water.
85.
Yeah, they say so. Of teams that have started 11-1 or better, the average point differential of those teams is plus 320. They're plus 54. It's like a historical outlier. 2022 Vikings are somewhere in this group. They went 13-4 with a negative point differential, and those kind of teams, they get out of the postseason quickly. So we'll see if they're saving their best pitchers.
But if they get the 1 seed, they're they wouldn't see Buffalo until like the championship game. But again, I mean, they're either seeing
Baltimore, Houston,
or would you see Pittsburgh?
Or Pittsburgh. True. Which
at Christmas games.
That Christmas game is going to be really good. KC at Pittsburgh. I think that's a prime spot to pick Mike Tomlin.
Do you think if the Chargers win, they'll have Pittsburgh coming up on the schedule? They probably still have like Denver.
Mm-hmm.
And in Denver. Because
Mm-hmm.
they should have lost to Denver, but they blocked that kick in Kansas City.
Mm-hmm. It's not an easy road in for KC. I think Buffalo is live for that number 1 seed for sure. All right, let's go to Joey's Jack and the Bum of the Week. A lot of candidates here. Obviously, the winner would be Eberflus and Caleb Williams for that debacle, but we've given it to them so many times this year that we just can't do it again. That situation there, first of all, they fired him right after the game, as they should have.
Criteria, you might need to be employed. So.
Yes. Yeah, you need to be currently a member of the National Football League to be nominated for this award. So sorry, Eberflus. We called it before the year. The guy he doesn't inspire confidence. He lost the locker room, and then situationally one of the worst in the league. They have the ball with a chance to win the game with 32 seconds left and 1 timeout, down by 3. And what do? They run 1 play and the game ends. Like, how that is even mathematically possible is beyond me. So, the Bears would have won that if they hadn't already been nominated and won several times this season. Mike McDaniel would have been on my list. That's now 0-5 for him in cold weather games. He's there standing on the sideline in his capri pants, shivering. Like, come on, man.
I love Mike McDaniel, but you got to win a game that matters.
you got to win a game that matters, and you got to just look like the like a head coach on the sideline. Like he's wearing these fancy glasses and this big jewelry and these cut off
Have you
pants.
seen the meme where he went from like Yale student to like Miami's drug lord? With
Yes.
Like how
he just dresses like it's Miami Vice and it's
like he had like the
1985.
hair, the aviators, and everything, and I'm like, this guy has gone full Miami.
Yeah. And that looks great when you're beating the Patriots by 30 points at home in the sunny sunshine. It's like great when you're in Green Bay on Thanksgiving night and you're just getting absolutely rocked. Not a great look. I mean,
Tua's like,
also
can't wait to go kill narratives. No, you're not.
Wear a couple hoodies or something. Like if you're shivering as a head coach, somebody should come over and bring you a jacket or something.
If you're gonna do that, you better. I remember when the Niners played in Green Bay, one of the playoffs, and Kaepernick went out there like a tank top. Well, he won the game.
Yeah, you're like the toughness. That's all it gave off toughness, and that's not.
There was it last night. They had that guy walking in against this thing barefoot. I'm like,
that's another level right there.
I wouldn't do that. But
Hardy folks. Aiden O'Connell makes the list. Fumbling a snap, clearly didn't have the snap count right with his center, cost them the game against the Chiefs. If I'm a Bills fan, I hate the Raiders more than anyone on earth. Like how they blew that game is completely beyond me. And then Zach Taylor, who he should be on the hot seat. You know, he hasn't fired Lou Anarumo yet. I don't know if it's supposed to be his call. I don't know why he hasn't fired him.
Maybe they think they just don't have the players.
I know it's Cincinnati's MO to keep guys for a decade after they've been good, like they did with Marvin Lewis. I would fire Zach Taylor after this year. If your quarterback puts up, 40 touchdowns, 7 picks, 4,800 yards, and you go like 5-12, you should be fired. So he would be on my list. But you're Jack in the Bum of the Week. You're going in a direction I wasn't expecting.
Yeah, I hate to do it because I really like you. But I saw the game. It was the other game at 10 a.m. on CBS. And, yeah, the Jack of the Bum of the Week this week is Kirk Cousins. Kirk, performance, the 4 picks, bum-worthy.
The podcast namesake.
Especially, like I said, the lollipop into the end zone, into a defensive team meeting was, just can't do it. Can't do it. Can't do it. And they should have won the game. How good their defense is playing, everything. It's just like
Chargers had 150 total yards.
Could you throw 2 picks? Like 4. It's just you cannot cost your team games when you're making the money you make. It's really that simple.
Period. And we love the guy. We named the pod.
You're right. I couldn't give it to Chicago. Because for crying out loud, I could have given it to him almost every week.
Them and Jacksonville get it too often. We're like, we have to find somebody else. But poor Kirko. It's 2 of the. I would say he had 2 of maybe the 3 or 4 worst picks of the entire NFL season on Sunday. Really, really tough look. And when you got the next gen stats saying how slow you threw a ball on a pick six,
I didn't even realize.
Wow.
I didn't even realize, that they might be talking about Penix. Oh, boy.
Yeah, a lot of talk about this week. Penix said this morning in a press conference, he's like, I'm ready to play, but I stand behind Kirk. I'm like, that's the right thing to say.
That means I'm ready to freaking play, dude.
Yeah, he's like, let's rock. We're still in first place.
And it's just like, oh, my God, what do they do with him?
Still got him for 3 years at what, 50-something million per. Good job, Atlanta. Way to draft a quarterback after giving out a contract like that.
But then again, like, do they look smart because they did that?
I don't think so.
Either.
Because you ain't winning the Super Bowl this year.
I'd rather draft somebody else other than Penix, and I'd rather not give Kirk the $100 billion.
You do one and you don't do the other. Either you don't sign Kirk and you draft Penix, or you do sign Kirk and you don't draft Penix. But they did both.
But if they sign Kirk and he's ass, it's kind of nice to have Penix.
Yeah, but now you have a roster that just sucks ass because you spent all that money on Kirk, and Penix isn't going to go anywhere, at least this year. Who knows? Maybe they're good next year, but their ceiling this year is to be 8-9 and losing the first round of the playoffs. So it's like, man, Falcons
Penix was this year though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I totally forgot about him. So it's Caleb, Daniels, May, Penix,
McCarthy.
McCarthy, Nix.
Yeah.
A lot of them. Bo Nix is pretty good.
And next year there ain't going to be even close to that. There'll probably be 1 or 2 in the first round. So
the only guys I'm even hearing is Shedeur and Cam Ward is not a first round.
No. Shedeur absolutely, because he got
even Shedeur. Like honestly,
there's some risk there, but I he looks like a functional quarterback. Cam Ward, are you kidding me? Get the fuck out of here.
I would love to take a Shedeur like middle of the first round to the lower for top like go.
No, but you're gonna have to take him with the 2nd or 3rd pick, which is crazy. Absolutely crazy. I was talking to my father-in-law this week, and he's a big New York Giants fan, and he was like, hopefully we can lose enough games to get Shedeur Sanders. I was like, I don't know. I mean, anything's better than
I would trade
Tommy Cutlets, but I mean, man.
I would trade that pick.
I agree. They need way more than just a quarterback. So there's Joey's Jack and the Bum of the Week, Kirk Cousins, our podcast namesake. Sorry to give it to you, Kirk. Let's go to the You Like That picks of the week. We went 4-1 last week, had a really nice week. We only lost 1 game, and we lost it by a half point when we picked the Vikings Arizona over, and we missed it by a half. But we won with Seattle, Pittsburgh, Philly, and Buffalo. So that was 4-1 last week. Gets us to 36, 26, and 3 on the season. 10 games over 500, baby. Miami -6 against the Jets. That's our number 1 pick. Do not care if Rodgers starts or Tyrod Taylor starts. The Jets have quit. And give me Miami at home and the sunshine down there in South Florida. Seattle +3 on the road at Arizona. I don't think Arizona is very well coached, especially the defense is just it's the way they played in the fourth quarter against the Vikings. I can't take that team against a team that's got 3 great wide receivers like the Seahawks do. I think they'll move the ball really well. I think they keep it within the number, maybe even win the game outright. Jackson Smith-Njigba is breaking out right now. Every game I watch, I'm like, he comes up with some clutch, huge catch to win the game. Taking the Vikings again, risky here, but Kirk isn't healthy. He's not playing well. If Penix ends up starting this game, I don't think that affects the line too much. I think the Vikings are going to win this by a touchdown. We're just going to blitz whoever the quarterback is all day long. I like the Chargers on Sunday Night Football. This is the week that the Chiefs officially lay the egg. I think Harbaugh is going to win this game outright. I think the Chargers go in there. They establish the run. They play the kind of game that the Raiders just couldn't, where, Harbaugh teams are mostly mistake-free, and I think they win this game. And then Dallas, an ugly, ugly dog, but they're a 6-point underdog at home against the 4-8 Bengals. Are you kidding me with that defense? Like, come on. Easy pick for me there. Just like the Bengals shouldn't be favored by 6 against anybody. They can play the school for the blind for all I care. That Lou Anarumo defense has given up 24+ against any team in the NFL. So that's your You Like That picks of the week. For week 14 in the NFL, Miami -6 against the Jets, Seattle +3 at Arizona, the Vikings -4.5 at home against the Falcons, the Chargers on Sunday Night Football +4 against the Chiefs, and then Dallas on Monday Night Football, 6-point home underdogs against the Bengals. Joey, it's time for your Feels Great Baby, your wildest take you feel best about currently, and you're going to talk about America's favorite quarterback.
Yeah, I don't even think this is that wild of a take, but Rodgers is cooked. Like, he's not a Jet next year. Either he's retiring because he doesn't want to have on his resume that he was cut, or he's on a different team.
Who wants him? Get the fuck out of here. Retire. Nobody wants him.
Well, yeah, it's a combination of who wants him and then what does he want to do. So, I mean, trust me, you don't think like the Raiders would kill to have him for like a cheap deal?
If your choices are draft a guy like,
but like, does Rodgers want to do it?
Exactly. You want to work for Tom Brady, have Tom Brady be your boss. Call him daddy too,
I mean, yeah. Like that whole, but just like I just think about it, this has been just a train wreck from day one. And like people were saying last year, like the reason he got hurt and like derailed their season, last year. But honestly, This probably would have just happened last year.
I agree.
And the Jets had to be held hostage another year.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not with contractually. I think they might have had to keep him for this year, but
let's do this exercise, okay? I'm going to go through every team and tell you, is there a chance that he would sign there, okay? Cleveland, I don't think they have the cap space, even with all the Watson
I'd
stuff.
rather have Jameis.
Yeah, and he wouldn't want to go there anyway. Denver, no. Chicago, no. Detroit, no. Giants, why would he want to go there? The team is going to be awful. Maybe they'd have some modicum of interest in him. Why would he want to go there? No way. Cowboys, no. Dolphins, no. Packers, no. Raiders, okay. Tom Brady would be your boss. Ugh. I mean, maybe if Belichick gets hired as the coach there, maybe. I don't know. Chiefs, no. Chargers, no. Falcons, no. Steelers, I mean, if they move on from Russ, maybe. I don't know. I know. Why would they?
Yeah. Why is working?
Yeah. Bengals, no. Cardinals, no. If McCarthy gets hurt, Vikings, barf. No. Colts.
They got Danny Dimes.
Yeah. Colts, meh. Patriots, no. Seahawks, Geno's contract's up. Yeah.
Why?
Titans, Commanders, no. Texans,
do you want to go to
hell
Titans?
No. Jaguars. Titans, I guess, is a possibility, but why would he want to go there? He's just he's not
to win a Super Bowl.
Who would take it? The Saints? Saints? I don't know. Who the fuck wants this guy? I mean, get the hell out of here.
Well, his play, because even at his peak, he was always like a prickly guy. Let's just say that.
Mm-hmm.
But no one cares when you're throwing 50 touchdowns and 40 picks and winning. No one cares. We'll fire whoever you want. Whatever you want, Aaron. You keep throwing 50 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's like, it's just magnified. It's just like, okay, so we got to deal with like you wanting everyone fired. All your buddies.
Him throwing all his teammates under the bus yesterday in his post-game press conference, as if he couldn't be any worse. He goes, they're like, do you feel like your performance?
Well, he buried Mike Williams.
Oh, he's just a dick in every possible way. Like, even if he was playing at a sub MVP but still really good level, he's just such a prick. Like, nobody wants this guy.
Yeah, I think he might be. Well, maybe Jeopardy does.
Oh my God, yeah. Go ruin that too. Another thing I like to watch on TV. Go ruin that. What a schmuck. Aaron Rodgers, Joey's Feels Great Baby,
you don't
retiring
need
or cut.
I don't know. Maybe he blew all his money. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have any family to share it with because they all hate him too. So, also has never been married. Curious.
Hey.
There's some theories going around about that, some of which have been shared via DMZ and such. No, my wife Jamie has a finger on the pulse when it comes to rumors about celebrities and stuff. And there's been lots of rumors about him and his quote unquote girlfriends over the last few years, just like maybe that guy is hiring some of these people. Who knows? I mean, if he's willing to go out and say that Jimmy Kimmel was on the Epstein flight log, I guess I can just make wild claims about him on the media too. So screw you, Aaron Rodgers. Let's close the pod. We got to keep this thing under an hour for the people. I just want to talk for 5 minutes here about, I have been on 8 flights in the last month and a half. So I've been in airports for a combined, 45, 50 hours. We got problems in this country way, way, way beyond what people think we have. Like, I just spent, 6 hours in the airport yesterday coming back from Colorado Springs. First of all, on these flights now, you get, first, I always try to get, A-list boarding so that on Southwest, we're one of the first 2 or 3 people on the plane. Always love to have it so that we can get good seats, put our roller bags up, whatever. They're letting 45, 50 people board the plane early now because they're disabled. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's half the plane. How is it's insane. This happened yesterday. This happened when we flew there on Wednesday. Is then you have 15 other people who aren't supposed to board till the end come up and delay the flight by asking questions and standing in front of everybody and trying to say, oh, I have to board first because I have a service animal. They're like, do you see where it says C8 here? You're the last person to board the plane. It's Oh my God, I am just struggling with humanity right now, man. I get so angry when I'm at airports. When was the last time you were on a plane?
Vegas in the summer. Um, I think it was pretty smooth. Well, our big thing about the plane is we just couldn't stop thinking about how we were boarding the jet that the Netflix documentary was about. So
Oh,
we were
the
we were like,
737 Max.
yeah, we were like, we're going down. Like we're going down. Well, this is how it goes. I'm trying to go see the Sharks take the next stud, and I'm about to nosedive. No, I think it's pretty fine. It's just yeah. I mean, it's everywhere. I mean, whether you're driving a car, it's just people are
Go to
just.
Costco. See what you see there. I mean, it's just
I think
I've seen barefoot people in the airport. I've seen just people that are just so openly like slobby that you see food on their clothes. They're like standing in the middle of a busy walkway and blocking everybody and don't give a goddamn. It's just, oh my God, I'm getting so tired of it.
yeah, no people. I think eight planes in like a month and a half. Damn, oh, that's a lot.
It is a lot, and I'm just, ugh. I find myself on because I used to like going on planes and that part of travel.
Oh, I
I
like the
despise it.
vacation part. I hate it.
Oh, I despise. I used
It's
to
just a whole
not
thing
mind
they
the
cram.
airport at all.
Like, can we just get a little room, people?
Mm-hmm.
Like, do we have to have this many people on a flight? Like, could we? And then the whole time I'm just praying the person in front of you doesn't lean back. Like,
Mm-hmm. First of all, you get to the airport
because like,
and
what do you do?
You got to
Like,
check your bag, and there's just like they no longer like do it for you. There's like a kiosk, and like every person over the age of 50 can't figure it out, so they got to call people over. So then a line accumulates, and it takes forever to get that done. And then you get in the security line, and like right when we were getting in the security line at Burbank to fly to Colorado, there was this kid, probably maybe early 20s, and he had those big headphones on, and the agent had to say next, next, like 6 times. Eventually, this old woman who was 2 spots behind that kid just fucking snapped, pulls his like earbud, and is like, "You're up in line!" Like fucking screams at him. And this is like 7 in the morning. I'm like, "Welcome to another trip through an American airport. This is gonna be so fun." It's just, it's misery, man. We're driving
Well,
up
I
in
guess you could
December.
try. I was gonna
No
say,
more, no more flying. I'm done.
yeah. Oh, I would drive up here.
Yeah, 5 hours. You get to listen to your
Hey,
podcasts. Get
exactly.
to
Drive 3.5 to Reno.
stop get some in and out or some McDonald's or something. Just have a good old time, not having to deal with this nonsense. And I'm sure you see it all the time when you're like, you're going to Costco or you're doing whatever. It's just like so many people that are just, you're like, how do you function in society? Feel like it's like 70% of the people I see out there are just like, how do you wake up in the morning and like attack the day when you just, oh my God, it's just such a disaster, dude.
I'm trying to think where I had the same feeling, but I don't remember. Maybe it was at a game
Mm-hmm.
when you're just like, I don't know, when it's like trying to find, maybe it was parking. I don't know. It's just like, yeah, you're just like, oh my God. Like, move or like whatever.
You're
I don't
just
know.
losing your shit. And then, I
Yeah.
mean, it's sports games, a whole different thing where it's like the number of belligerent people has just gone up and up and up. Like the last 2 major events I've gone to was I went to a Vikings game and I went to a Green Day concert, both of them at SoFi. Both of them, there were people who were so rowdy that they like disrupted our section, had to get arrested. It's like, why does everything suck? Like, why does it have to be like
I
this?
couldn't imagine paying what you have to pay to go see that and then to like, unless they somehow get free tickets.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's brutal, man. Just stay at home and watch stuff on TV, I guess is the moral of the story.
Well, it is. It's just there's nowhere you can go that is fun.
Which is not the case 15 years
Like,
ago when
you
we
want to
were
go
in
to the
college.
movies, it's more fun at home. You don't have to worry about people like pissing you off.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, with the technology now, like it's just as fine here.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm missing, I mean, popcorn's nice. Like, love that movie theater popcorn. But like you go to a football game, right? Even if your team's good and everything, like I went earlier, the Patriots, Niners Patriots, great game, they win, everything was great. Like, fortunate enough to have free ticket, like, and then their season tickets, so we had like free food. Like it was it's great of an experience. Would I want to do it? Would I want to do that every week? No.
Yeah.
Partially because I got to drive so far. And it's your
But I mean,
day.
if you 18-year-old you would go, oh my God, that's the most amazing thing ever. I'd do it every week. And now with just the experience that you have, you're like, nah, I can do that 2-3 times a year max.
Yeah. No, I mean, and then what? Like, so I couldn't imagine you go to Disneyland or something.
Oh my God, shoot me in the head. I went in, what was it, March 2023. They let like 3 times as many people into the park that they used to when I was a kid. Like, you're just trying to walk in between rides to go to the bathroom, to go get food, to just walk to the next ride. And it's so wall-to-wall people, you like can't move. I'm like, why is the world like this now, man? It's just brutal.
All more people means more tickets, means more money.
But not a better experience for anybody. Capitalism doesn't give a shit about that anymore.
Well, people got to stop buying tickets.
Exactly. That's how we send a message.
But they can't.
I know. Everybody needs to go see their family for the holidays.
They should.
Like, yeah.
I mean, go outside, like go fishing or something. Like, do like what they used to do hundreds of years ago.
Yeah. Go pick berries and shoot deer. And
I mean, literally, I think
cook it over a fire.
I think if I could do anything, I could think if I had a boat and nice weather, like I'd love to just go sit in the middle of a lake and like eat and like do nothing.
Crush a couple beers and
like just hang out with family, friends, nothing, do nothing, see nothing, do not like because the older you get, the more you look forward to just having peace and
doing nothing.
And if you ever have kids, that'll be multiplied times 1 billion. Like
you're like, I cannot wait to do nothing. It's like Office Space, Peter's dream of doing nothing. That's us, man, as we get older.
It is. It's just, I literally if I miss anything, like, people say they get older, they get married, have kids, and like, oh, I miss my 20s, like went out with my buddies, like, just all-nighters, all this. I'm like, you know what I miss? I miss going to grab like burger and fries and like popping myself down the couch, watch a game or a funny show, and just
do nothing. Yeah.
Like,
doesn't that sound amazing? Welcome to America in 2024. All right. That's enough of that negativity. We'll be back with some more football stuff next week. Hopefully another Viking and Niner win just to get this ship stabilized.
Hopefully a Niner loss.
Or in Joey's case, he's hoping for a Niners loss so they can get the 7th pick of the draft.
Tank.
Yeah, he's ready to embrace the tank.
I looked it up. We got pick 14. I think we can make it better.
We can get that thing to 8 if we really work our ass off. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening to another episode of the You Like That Feels Great Baby podcast. We will see you next week.